Welcome to Adam's Friday Flow. I have my hat right over here, so I'll put it back on. So I've got my style going. No, I'll take it back off. Anyway, so the focus today is going to be, can you measure your flow? Now, the reason I'm going with this particular take is because my job is to, or my business is to help people measure their flow and improve it. And so measuring is one of the ways to do that. But one of the reasons that I think it should be important for everybody, especially attending here, is because we all have or want to offer some sort of ROI, whether we have our own business, we're thinking about starting a business, or in a regular day. We want a return on investment. Whatever people are investing in us, we want to show them that we're applying that. So I'm gonna scroll the right way. But if we're talking about flow, flow is something that you feel timelessness. You feel like you're regenerating, you get lost and stuff. In fact, just this week, when I was supposed to be hosting 1 Million Cups, I missed the first half of it. Fortunately, I was just one of the many hosts and I wasn't needed, but I missed the first half because I was working on a project and I was right in the zone. I was like, whoa, and I totally didn't hear my alarms or anything. So that's what flow is all about. But if it's about timelessness, how are you supposed to measure it? And so that's kind of a fun thing to think about. Oh, and again, flow comes from this guy named, the way I use it usually is the way that Mihaly uses it. I'm going to post this in chat. And he has his book called The Positive Psychology. So 8 ways to create according to Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. So this guy, who's actually, turns out he was originally in Italy, and then Italy changed up. So now he's from Croatia, but he studied in Chicago. And so that is where I get this from. So this guy here, and so that's where I get my term for flow and its sense of timelessness. And so the way we have to measure this, one of the ways we can measure this is with ranges. And having a comfort with ranges is how you can measure anything, according to another book that I really like, How to Measure Anything by Douglas Hubbard. I'll also post that on the bottom here for anyone who wants to look that guy up. Bam. And I'll click on that. So this is a book that I read a while ago, and it just fascinated me. How to measure anything. And he's like, some people say, no, you can't measure everything. He says, yes, you can. So you can argue with that or not, but his premise is the way that you can measure anything is you become more comfortable with ranges. And the less you know about something, or the more ambiguous something is, the bigger the range. So, but you can get a 90% certainty that you're right. He can calibrate you so you can do these measurements. You can use his book, or you can take his classes. So I think it's kind of a neat concept. So obviously, if it's something like, speed walking rates in the US, I don't know anything except that exists. So I would say, I could probably say somewhere between, well, I also walk, so I know a little bit about it, but I don't know how it compares to running exactly, but I don't even know running speeds. So I know that it's not 75 miles per hour. So I can start narrowing it down, but those are measurements. Are you guys getting all the exciting children in the background?
A little bit.
Okay. All right. So that's my kids. There we are. So that's kind of how you do this. Now, the important thing to me too, in this, and it could be different for different people, because the return on investment you will want to be providing for all your people, your clients, is not necessarily going to be directly called flow. Whereas I really try and focus on flow, whether or not I'm talking about it. So flow chart, flow. Anyway, I guess I'll just draw it. So I'll show real quick how I do it with my intro. Yep. So we're gonna do intros now, and I'll just kind of start with some folks here, and I'm gonna do mine. And something I'm starting to add in here is maybe with intros is we kind of address the topic real quick in the intro, or not very quick, depending on how you feel at the time. Yeah, so my name is Adam Sparks Brechtel, and Sparks Flow is my company. I'm going to post my stuff in chat in a moment. And if you post your things in chat, if you put HTTP in front of it and all that, then you can make an automatic link. So if you like put LinkedIn, people can click on it while we're visiting, and they can, you know, connect with you during our little chit chat here. Anyway, so flow is this thing where there is the sort of X and Y of the flow. And on this side, you have challenges. Oh, come on. I got to click over here. Okay. Oop. There's excited children back in the background. Okay. Araceli, you're getting to see all sorts of excitement here. This is Adam and his A game, I tell you. So challenges.
It's all good, so you're fine.
Thank you. Challenges. And then down here, we're gonna do another text down here. And this is skill. Okay, so this is challenges and your skill. And as your challenges go up, you want it to match your skill in order to get your flow. So somebody might be over here or over here. And so one way that I could measure this at the beginning of the time is that they feel kind of like I feel right now with all the kids in the background, that there's a little much more, like I'm trying to do one thing here. That is not a drawing, that's a line. Okay, I feel like I'm kind of right here. And you know, after doing this a couple of times, because then maybe I might get more to right here, which would be awesome, right? Because this is like the ideal spot. This is where you're really feeling timelessness and flow. Up here, this is more sort of like anxiety, maybe enlightenment, or it's called arousal, which that's, some people say it that way. But the idea is that you're sort of getting interested, but it's a bit more than what you can totally hold on to. So this is where I'm feeling right now, and this is where I'd like to be. But this is a way I could measure flow with people. Okay, so that's my intro. So if everyone else would just kind of tell you who you are, what your company is, and then how your flow might work. Cody, you're the first on my screen, so I'm going to start with you. Then Richard, and then I'm not sure where Lisa is, so I'm going to go with Araceli and then Lisa. All right, and I'm going to go check on outside real quick. So go for it, Cody.
Hey guys, my name is Cody Pearson. What I do is technology transformation and operations transformation for technology companies. And the type of technology is broader than computers and IT. We're talking about technologies with new advances in energy, geospatial technologies, also IT included. And the two big things I'm focused on right now, again, are large-scale grid storage. So that's novel, clever ways to do megawatts of stored capacity for grids, as well as the renewed uptick in small modular nuclear power reactors again. So that's been something that's been quiet for some time since the Fukushima incident in 2011, and it's finally all coming back online and seeing some more viability in the market 9 years later. So good to see you all. Welcome, Araceli Beo.
You got it right.
I've never wrapped my mouth around Araceli before. So great thing, exact phonetics. That's the easy part about it.
I missed it.
Okay, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks again, Adam, for doing your Friday flow.
Good morning, Richard. Good to see you again.
And rocking the hat. And yes, I did get a haircut.
Oh, great. I gave him a hard time at another conference that we were at. He'd shaved, but he'd also combed his hair.
Yeah, it was
so I thought he got a haircut.
Yeah, this first one since February. So there you go.
Cool.
Anyway, my name is Richard Farmer. I'm a 20+ year filmmaker, director, mostly commercials, music videos, short films. And in the last year, I've been I'm pretty obsessed with augmented reality and how massive it's going to be in our future. And now's the time. If you're curious about it, I highly recommend doing as much research you can about it. It's not Pokemon Go. It's going to be life transforming for all industries at some point, some way, even lots of things we can't even think of right now. So I've been marinating. I was living in New York and went to New York's really ahead of the ball game right now. They want to be the Silicon Valley of augmented reality because they know how massive it's going to be, and they have a really great a hub. They call it R Lab, and it's at Brooklyn Naval Yards. They've got, they've transformed these Navy Yards, one of the warehouses anyway, into an accelerator, incubator, school, networking hub for augmented reality. And so I started going there and meeting people and taking classes. And then they had a hackathon, augmented reality VR hackathon on climate change. And my idea was a finalist. And it's definitely fired me up to, got me looking into learning how to do a startup. And since then, I've come up with many more augmented reality ideas specifically for New Mexico that I want to start working on in the near future. And so I just moved here about 5 weeks ago, and have been going on to these meetups and have met Adam. And so I'm trying to build a team, and try to change the world.
Shall I go next?
How would you measure what you were able to return an investment?
For me,
Yeah. What's an example?
I guess the only thing I can really my ROI of the last couple of weeks, I've met a lot of people in New Mexico already, and really starting to feel like there's some traction picking up. So that's my main job right now, is meeting people remotely, which is a real interesting challenge, but it also has its conveniences too,
Right.
I
could still walk in the other room and solve my crying child's problems.
Yeah, exactly. So I think my flow is pretty groovy right now, man. I'm liking it. Things are happening. It's not like I'm able to talk to people. I'm meeting people, talking to, and it's working. So my flow of networking is flowing.
So are you able to like measure maybe the networking thing of like how many meetings you had of quality, or you could qualify it, or you could just put it as a number?
Well, yeah, I can totally measure that. I mean, if you look back at the last 3 weeks, I'm usually averaging at least one deeper connection a week, and then a couple of, cool, nice to have met you. Maybe there's something down the road, there's that, so
yeah.
I guess the real measurement will be, another, 3 weeks from now. See how that's going.
Wait, what's in 3 weeks? Part of when you were talking got chopped off, so I don't know if
you said. No, it's just that I've only really been at this for about 3 weeks, maybe. As far as like trying to meet folks in New Mexico, like I'm here now.
Yeah.
Not going back to New York. So I'm gonna put my roots down and start meeting people. I didn't want to fake the funk and meet people and then run off to New York again for a year, which was kind of in the cards there, but. Looks like we're definitely probably going to be here from here on out. So that's great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Richard. And welcome, Rob. We're going through intros. So I'll give you a little heads up. Araceli is about to do it, about to introduce herself. So it's who you are, your business, and then how you might measure your flow or measure your return on investment. Araceli.
Yes. So I don't have a business, so I don't know it. I'm not qualified to be on this group. But
No. I will stop you there. I appreciate you checking, and I'll tell you, you are totally qualified to be here. Because are you thinking about doing a business?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I guessed.
Yeah, I've been planning to have a business, but I want to educate myself, especially right now since there's a lot of conflicts, you know, I mean, to run a business. So I want to see how it is to have a business, what are the challenges to overcome, to learn more about the process, you know. Now I'm just educating myself. I'm just pursuing my master's, but once I finish my master's, that's when I'm planning to move into the business if it is possible. So in the meantime, I'm gonna educating through you guys, if you guys allow me.
Yeah, happy to have you.
So that's all that I have right now.
All right, so you do have a flow you're working on though, right?
Yes.
So how would you measure how your flow is going? Like what you're getting a return on investment? How would you first define what your flow is? Like when you're feeling at your...
Well, I'm really having my return on investments because right now my investment is in focusing on the education side.
Yes.
So once I get my education side, that's gonna help me to increase my value in terms of my job. I'm working, so I'm planning to raise the step in my own job. So I think that's where I can see the flow. The education is helping me to get a higher salary, and by higher salary, I can save more, and by saving more, I can start planning to put it a business without having much debt, you know?
Yeah. So you have goals of what you want to get to.
Yes.
Have you measured where you're at now to compare to where you're going to get to?
Say that again.
Have you measured where you are now? It's like, you know, well, for instance, you know, you don't have the degree now, and then you'll have the degree. That's one measurement. And then another one is how confident you feel in those skills, or maybe what's your return on investment. You're putting so much money into the school, and then are you getting enough out? And how are you measuring those things? So you have a great plan of like where you're going to go, and you have the image of how you're going to measure that. Right now you're at a certain stage, and then you're going to be at that stage later. Right. Do you have any way you're measuring that aside from checking it off?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, so there, as far as knowledge goes, your teachers are grading things, right?
Right.
Are you, and this is, I'm going to take this from another book called Drive, which means when we do and he talks about when we do education, so often it's something that just comes at us and we sort of accept it, you know, and work through it and make it happen, especially for like our kids. But, you know, you and I, as we're in like college and master's degrees and things like that, we also can be in that sort of like backseat mode too, but we'll get a lot more out of it if we decide what we want out of it and then say, okay, this is, did I get that by the end of the semester, right? And there's two sides to that. We might say, yes, great. And we might say, no, why not? And then we learn from it. So I'm going to challenge you to think, what is it you want from either the whole semester or from each class? And then what are you going to get? Like at the end of the year, no matter what the teacher thought they were going to give you, did you get what you were looking for? Yeah. That makes sense? Yeah, it does. So I'm gonna commend you right now because you're doing it already with this networking thing, right? You've set a goal. I want to build my understanding. So you can say, I'm at a certain point here, and then after going and visiting and stuff, you say, did I actually increase my networking abilities, my understanding of business, and that sort of thing? And then you can give. Sorry, when you ask measurement, do you expect it to be a quantitative number or qualitative? How do you measure that? Well, if I was really pushing it, the first answer is it doesn't matter. We're discussing, we're having fun. I'm having fun. You're smiling, so I hope that means you're having fun. But I also like to push people. And so one of the ways that I push is, yes, you can make it into a quantity. Like I was talking to Richard, is it a quantity like how many quality, like how many really happy inter-network interactions did he have? So that would be a way to make it also quality. But if you're talking about just quality, you can even change that into a range, like, you know, the Likert test, which is like 1 to 10. Do I feel like this was a number 5 on or is it going to be a number 7? So that was a great question. The answer for me is I'm pushing for numbers, but you know, you could give whatever answer you want.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Araceli. All right. And am I saying your name right? Is it Araceli or Araceli?
Araceli, the first one.
Okay, gracias. Thank you. All right, Lisa.
I'm here. I'm still waking up. I haven't had enough coffee yet today. It's only 9:30.
That's right.
So do you remember that show Quantum Leap where Sam Beckett?
How many people remember that show?
Yeah, where he's leaping from life to life, and the whole point of his project is by touching each individual life, he hopes to change the future. So we don't pretend to be quite as lofty as Dr. Beckett, but what we do is we try to help small businesses to grow and make positive impacts on the local community and the local economy, because each small business that is making a positive impact in the community and the economy positively grows the entire backbone of our infrastructure. And that's something that we really care about. And we use accounting as a tool to do that. So we take care of your compliance and all of that. But what's really important is managing your cash flow and managing your infrastructure growth plans. Even when you're starting up, especially when you're starting out, you need to plan really well. Not that those plans will actually be helpful in any way. Once you, and I say this from personal experience, I started my company 12 years ago. And of course, one of the first things that my business partner and I did was made a business plan and we made a budget. And then 2 months later, the market crashed. So we were in the Great Recession. Our business plan and our initial 5-year budget have absolutely no resemblance to what actually happened. But the point is, we had an idea, we had a roadmap of where to go. So whether it's a startup or an established business, there are things that we can offer that will help you build your dream, your company, and in turn, build the backbone of our community. So my company is Proficient Financial Management, and I will put my information in the chat. Oh, and your flow question. So we're accountants. Yeah, we count everything. At the beginning of 2020, we actually stopped completely all flow measurements because of how cumbersome it had become. So we no longer measure anything that is not required for compliance purposes.
Wow, that's kind of cool. So you really streamlined what you're doing.
No, it was measuring flow was getting like super time consuming and was interfering with our actual work.
Yeah.
So now we pretty much only track things that we are required to track by law.
Yeah.
And otherwise we don't track them. We don't track anything if it's not required by law anymore, because it was getting unreal. My assistant was spending half her week just inputting all the numbers from everybody into our tracking systems. And then me doing the analysis, it wasn't even really helpful anymore. So yeah, at the beginning of this year, we stopped tracking everything that we no longer have to track.
So measuring the flow was getting you out of the flow.
Yeah, pretty much. Because we measured all kinds of things. I mean, we're accountants,
Yeah.
right? You know, we're gonna, if it can be measured, we will measure it.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it got nuts. I was spending hours doing monthly and quarterly statistics, and we don't have time for that. Like, we really don't. It was getting crazy, and people were not doing things. So like, you know, a lot of times we'll listen to podcasts, like, you know, industry podcasts and things like that while we work, but because people were so obsessed with, you know, measuring how long it took them to do to complete their professional development, or, you know, all of the stuff we track for taxes and things like that, people got to the point where they were literally only doing one thing at a time. They wouldn't like take a phone call and do something else too, like a bank reconciliation, which most of us can do in our sleep.
I don't even know what that is.
It's when, do you remember when you had checkbooks and you would go through with the bank statement and your checkbook every month and make sure that you would put everything into your checkbook?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same idea, but on a computer now.
Okay.
So yeah, so it just got too crazy. Nobody was doing anything. It made us a lot less productive. So at the beginning of this year, I was like, yeah, we're done. If it's not required by law, we're not doing it anymore.
So I'm gonna push that just because I'm curious. So you saying you were measuring flow is in you were measuring like people's profit for a certain amount of times?
No, we have different, measuring profit is actually super easy and not part of our flow at all. That's part of accounting. But we would measure how long it took people as they progress through different levels, because we promote from within. So a lot of people start out at the very bottom. So we would measure how long it took them to complete all of their training as they moved up between levels to see how different training programs were working. So we would measure their progress and things like that. But then because our people themselves were doing the actual reporting and tracking of that, yeah, they would do only one thing at a time. And so we were all working like crazy long hours because we were only doing one thing at a time to make sure we accounted for all of that.
This is fascinating. I want to ask you more. But
well, yeah, I mean, you ask an accountant if we count things.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. But I want to point out that I really like that you noticed that too much measuring was also a problem. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, Rob.
Yeah, so it's funny you were saying that because I was thinking like, so are you tracking your own internal thing? You're not doing for other clients, correct, Lisa? Like you're not like tracking crazy weird stuff for clients. It's
just,
no, what we track for clients is a lot more streamlined because, you know, obviously if we were tracking the kind of things we were tracking for our clients, I would make no money at all. Because it was getting too crazy, and everyone's business is set up differently. So things that work for our company to track might not necessarily work for my clients. So all of it was just about our internal workflows and things like that. The way that we design our clients' accounting workflows is very, very different than what we were doing internally.
Oh, okay. No,
we were
if it was for clients, I thought I had an idea for you, but maybe not.
Huh?
Anyway, I said if it was for clients, I think I would have had an idea for you, but if it's an internal thing, it's kind of like whatever.
Well, let's imagine.
Right. Yeah, let's hear it.
Oh, well, yeah. So I forget what it's called, but essentially like when you offer packages, right? Everyone's familiar with that concept. So you could offer the baseline of accounting, saying, oh, here's our bread and butter, here's what you get. And then if you want like the next level, Premiere, whatever.
So we just actually rolled out 3 packages from one.
There you go. You're already doing it.
But the measurement is, yeah. I mean, obviously what we're doing for them is their flow is very different than ours.
Right, yeah, I'm sure. Well, yeah, if you guys don't already know me, I'm Rob Hill with Van Dyke Mortgage. I'm a mortgage guy, so we do 1 to 4 unit residential real estate. So if you're looking to buy a home or refinance a home, I'm your guy. How I measure my flow, if you will, is in many different ways I can, but mostly I try and focus on to narrow the focus and the flow.
Right.
I'll go with loan applications versus loan closings. And that usually spits out a good conversion ratio to let me know how, like if I'm taking too many loan applications and not getting enough closings out of them, well, then what am I then doing? That's when we revisit the other data and then figure out what am I doing wrong, essentially, and not being able to close folks, I guess, as quickly or just at all. So maybe am I losing people to like being shopped or whatever? Maybe I should lower my comp plan, whatever, things like that. But the other thing too would just be lead generation if I decide to do that. So there's a much lower conversion ratio for that. So like how much lead data, like name, phone number, email am I collecting versus how many is actually converting to a loan application. And then even on the back end, client retention. So people that I have closed in the past, and what am I doing to help still facilitate that relationship and making sure that I'm like their home loan expert and they can always come back to me and trust me to do what I do. So that's in a nutshell, not super small of a nutshell, but that's what I do for tracking my stuff.
Man, you like, I was, because everyone else prepared you, I'm sure. Or maybe this is just like one kind of question for you.
I typed it out while everyone was talking.
So the you had like obvious things that you're like measuring, like to see if you're reaching these goals that you're getting into, and that's like how you're measuring your ROI. So since I pushed everyone else, I'm going to push you in a different way. So you're able to get your ROI. What about your flow? Like when you feel like you're actually doing stuff, because this is all like, you know, and I'm gonna give you more of a reason why this is important. Because if you can measure this stuff, it's good, because then you know that you're moving towards progress, and that in itself creates flow because you see the progress, or you learn from what doesn't appear to be progress. So that's progress, and so that gets you in a state of flow, which is cool. But just measuring this data doesn't necessarily mean you're measuring flow. It just in the psychology sense, which is fine. It doesn't. That's, for my purposes, I'm going to push you towards the psychology direction.
Okay.
And the reason is, and I'm glad you already have an answer, but I'm going to give a little description too. So the reason is because Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi found out that if you are not getting some sort of flow in your day, he had a test where he made people not do any flow, like anything that got them in this like state of mind of timelessness, of like rejuvenation, like where they're doing something that really builds them up. And watching TV rarely meets that criteria. But they're just doing tasks that were just like, you just do it, you move on. You do it, you move on. People were showing signs. He was going to have them do it for a week. People were showing extreme signs of mental illnesses by like the third day. He called the test off because it was destroying people. Isn't that crazy? I think it's neat. Anyway, so that's one of the reasons it's really important that you also make sure that it is actually flow happening in your life. What's this answer you have ready?
Well, I was just trying to interpret the question correctly.
Okay, good.
But
you can ask it, you can interpret it.
So in a way that kind of circles back around to time blocking for me, making sure that not just like the activities that I'm doing are not making sure that the activities that I'm doing are productive, but those activities are even worth doing, if that makes sense. So say if I don't make 10 phone calls today, it's on my checklist of things to do that I've time blocked myself to do. And if I don't make those 10 specific phone calls, then I've not been productive, right? However, the quality of those phone calls is what we're talking about, and that's what's in question. So like why am I making those phone calls? Are those like maybe new prospects, direct clients? Are those phone calls to realtor referrals? Are those, you know what I mean? Like, so that maybe is what I'm hearing, is that I need to analyze where my flow should be going, is not just being more efficient for efficiency's sake, but being more effective in being efficient.
Well, one of the things
I refer to the 4-hour work week book.
Oh, 4-hour work week. Okay, so he's mentioned a book called 4-Hour Work Week. Are you mentioning that because I've mentioned it before?
Because I'm like, I don't know how far into it I am, but I was listening to it on my way here.
Yeah. I think that's a great book for inspiration to just get things done, you know, like start getting into things. If you're planning to make what he calls a muse, which is something that will generate money without you having to do much, that's what it's really about. But it's also about some other cool things. I'm glad you're reading that book. I think it's a neat book.
I'm only reading it or listening to it because you.
Oh, that's great.
Because you mentioned it.
Yeah, he summarizes a lot of things. So you asked if I'm asking you to look at quality as opposed to the quantity of the calls.
Right.
Is that what your question is, kind of?
Or it's like, yeah, maybe like you've set out certain goals for things that you think will make you productive throughout the day, but sometimes we don't like take a step back and think, oh, well, why am I even doing this? Like just to feel productive, or is it actually getting me to where I need to go? Or maybe it is getting you to where you need to go, but there's a more efficient, more effective way to do that.
Yeah, those are all great ways. But no, none of those are exactly what I'm asking for. What I'm pushing you to think about is how much of your job are you enjoying?
Yes. I'd say.
And can you measure that?
60 to 70% of it, and depending on how much volume it is that I got going on and what type of client. Yeah, it's, well, measuring my happiness, would you say?
Yeah.
That's a much harder quantifiable measure.
Right.
Something I have to revisit.
Yeah. So that's a really cool thing to, because if you were to compare this to when you were in the Air Force, mm-hmm. Could you say in a sort of a general way, which one you can use your percentage thing. Percentage wise, do you think they're the same or different?
For happiness? Oh yeah, it's definitely, it's different. And I think I have a lot more control. Or I'd like to think I have more control over it now. However, in the Air Force, you're just going to work, you're just doing your task, you're turning a wrench, check out, you're done. Like you don't have to think about anything after, it's whatever. Whereas now, like I kind of do my own thing. And essentially if I don't do my thing, then I don't get paid and I don't eat. So it's a different kind of stress, and that type of stress brings with it a different kind of happiness. So it's, I can definitely see myself like being in the Air Force again and like, just get the paycheck. We're fine. We don't need to like do anything crazy. We don't need to save the world, right? That's fine. I can live my life that way. But I think doing what I do now allows me to be to some higher echelon of like calling, where like maybe I can like make my loan stuff so efficient and expect this much output, and then that leaves me this much more room to do something good in the world and charity and all that fun stuff. So
just like Richard's trying to figure out how to make AR this new thing, which is like high level abstraction, right? You're trying to be creative in the way that you're making the business work. So that's cool. That's great to hear. Araceli, how did you? So I'm going to ask people like how they found out about this this meetup or this group, and I'm going to see if I can remember. So Richard, you found out because of 1 Million Cups, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And so you saw me there and you said, okay, I'll see what this guy's got going on.
Yep.
So are you the same story?
Me?
Lisa.
I was trying to go through my email to figure out how I found out about this. Sorry.
I can come back to you.
No. I found it.
I love the research. I love research.
It was, I messaged you on LinkedIn after 1 Million Cups.
It was.
And then you told me to come check this out.
Great. Okay, thank you. And then Rob, you and I are friends. And that sort of worked its way in. But do you remember when I first mentioned it to you?
You first mentioned it to me, I think. You
when
were
I first started.
You were still fairly new into doing the flow entrepreneurial thing. And well, actually, no, it was because of the pandemic, right? Wasn't it? I think you were sort of trying to put this thing together, but then you're like, well, now it's a virtual thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you showed interest when I was talking to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So ATTENDEES. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say for the longest time, I'd always had that 9 o'clock meeting, remember, that would conflict, and now it's a 10 o'clock meeting, so I can do this and then jump out in a minute. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Cody already left us too.
Yeah.
So I don't remember Cody. I don't know if I asked him how he found out. I need to find out from him. Araceli, how did you find out about us?
I had the meetup application, so I meet some other groups that are into business, entrepreneurs. So that's how you group some into my suggestions. So I wanted to join you guys before, but it was conflicting with my class. So yeah.
Oh, cool. So it's kind of like, I'm glad you came and come back again. As you can see, people return. So, and Richard, I haven't seen for a couple of weeks. So like, if you don't come back next week, that's okay. You can come back whenever. And there's all kinds of people drop in and out. But yeah, so I found out, I'm trying to figure out how it's kind of cool because you said you found out on Meetup, which has an algorithm or a system of basically promoting it for me. And that's kind of cool because a lot of random people have come in through that. And then 1 million cups is another really good thing. So it's just kind of cool for me to hear okay, what am I putting my energy into that's creating, ROI? And that's kind of
I was thinking to join the 1 million cups too, but I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I see you guys. I mean, I see you. I think. Yeah. You. Yeah.
Yeah. So 1 million cups is a different format, and especially for your goals, this is one level. It would complement this really well, but it would be really great for you because that is businesses, startups that are learning about how they can go and they present. So they're usually 1 to 5 years in growth. They present for about 6 minutes. We ask them questions for about 20 minutes, and then we might do that again with another business, or we might have some activity afterwards where we interact or talk, but try it out. It's all about new businesses. So it's I think you'd like that. And another one, and this is kind of a nice segue to I'm going to share my screen. As I wrap up, I like to talk about other activities going on. And I'm going to ask you guys for some ideas too, or see what you've gotten into, especially since Araceli mentioned she has other meetup groups. But the Wednesday 1 million cups, and let me post these links real quick in the chat. So if you want to even look them up right now, you can do that. Copy that, and I will paste it in the chat. Bam. So there's all kinds of links. All right. Nope. Lost myself. Okay. So 1 million cups is on Wednesdays. We talked about that. Rob, I don't think you've ever made it to 1 million cups.
I have not. I got I think 50% of the way through applying to be a presenter or something, and I scrolled off and did something else. So
well, I hate to disappoint you, but I don't know that you would be able to get to apply. I found out that we kind of focus on businesses that aren't just trying to sell apparently real estate and financial folks are not really their thing. So
okay, I got another side gig I can push on them.
Yeah. But you're definitely welcome to come and help other people. Yeah. So yeah, but if you have another side gig, yes, definitely bring it in. And if you want to apply, and Araceli, when you get your business going, you could possibly talk about that. I know lawyers have presented in the past. All you need is a client or a product sold, and then you're in. But if you don't have one of those yet, then we're a little more like, well, wait a moment. Okay, but anyway, being in the community is totally worth it. Just coming and watching and asking questions, it's great. And then Taza en su casa, en tu casa, is another thing. It's bilingual. It's on Thursdays, and it's similar to 1 Million Cups, but so far I've only attended twice, and I hope to keep going. But they also, well, if you show up and you're total gringo, they will also say it in Spanish, like, or in English. They've asked me when I can show up, because I'm a white guy, and I say, no, yo quiero a practicar mi español, pero dos están bien, because if they can speak in both, that's sort of helpful for me. But if I'm the only white guy there, I'm like, just speak in Spanish, you know. And then this other thing coming up is Kick-Ass Entrepreneurs of Santa Fe, which, by the way, has a great name. And I don't have the date on it, but if you go to that meetup, it'll have it. It's, I think, Tuesday evening of the first week or something like that of every month. Anyway, there's one coming up, and this is just a story time thing. They just
at 6:30.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Do you know about this, Richard? Did you go to the last one? I think I saw you there.
At the Activate?
Kick-Ass Entrepreneurs of
No,
Santa
I haven't. They haven't had one or that I've caught. I am on the list.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to be in Durango for the next one on the 2nd. So I'll try to tap in, but I might be busy.
It's virtual right now.
Yeah.
So I was driving home from work and I tuned in. So anyway, it's kind of neat because they take someone's business and they make it into a story. That's kind of what 1 Million Cups does, but 1 Million Cups squeezes it, whereas this is more like an epic. So that's kind of cool. And then so Araceli, I'm gonna put you on the spot again. So what are some other ones you've been to, or have you heard about these too?
I don't go so often because, I did it before the pandemic. I just attend once.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm going to school and full-time work, so it's very hard for me to join those groups. I find this one very easy for me because it was online.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I like it.
These are all online, by the way, the ones I'm giving right now.
Yeah, so that's also far. I mean, I don't remember the other one. It has been a while since I joined them, but it was just kind of like a group that they were just, I think, just kind of like a chatting, like more like what was going on with their business.
Yeah.
More like a network, setting. Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just reminds me, I went Thursday to another one in Taos virtually, but then they're welcoming. It's called Taos Hive on Facebook. I encourage you guys to look it up. They're a delightful group, and they have a format too, but they're also very conversational. So that's cool. Thank you, Araceli.
And like I'm saying, I mean, like since I don't have like a business plan yet, so I'm not like really into it right now. It's more focused on my education.
Yes.
But I mean, like there, I want to start integrating some of the business knowledge into my environment.
Yeah.
So.
That's good. Yeah, and just by the osmosis, right? Being near people.
Yeah.
Oh, this is important language. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
People who talk business. I think Rob pointed out that, probably time should wrap up here. But I would like to know if Lisa or Richard, do you have another one that you've gone to?
No, just the Activate stuff. I'm
Activate.
probably gonna snoop into the Albuquerque game developer group at some point.
Definitely.
But I am going to bow out. My son's graduation is online starting now. So I want to thank you again, Adam, and hi everybody, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Lisa. Or thank you, Richard.
It's okay. You call me Lisa.
Call me Richard.
You know, I've got good light on me.
Enjoy the graduation.
Get confused. Okay, guys. All right. Have a good weekend. Thanks, Adam. Yeah.
Lisa, do you have any other groups that you know that you?
So I have to network in 2 different states because I have to do my New Mexico stuff, and of course, you know, we still have a huge presence in Texas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I split my time between that. So a lot of the stuff that I do that's not that you haven't already mentioned is all Texas stuff.
Oh, like what?
So there's like this, there's this Happy Neighborhood project. I don't know if you've heard of it. They do.
I'm writing it down.
They do networking for a bunch of different states. If you go to my Facebook or my LinkedIn, I'm connected to them on both. So they have like a project. They have like different windows for different states. They don't have one for New Mexico. They also have a nationwide one and a worldwide one. I don't go to the worldwide one because obviously we can't really operate outside of the US. It would be cool to meet people from overseas, don't get me wrong, but there's only so much time in the day. So there's that. That's those are usually like weekly sessions. So you can go, but there's a bunch for different states. Hang on, let me see if I can put the link in the
I'll let you do that, and then I'm gonna wrap up here.
Okay.
So the lead generation styles is the topic next week, because this is a big thing I'm interested in. Like, all right, so what are some ways that we do lead generation? So that's really exciting. I hope that'll be exciting. And keep creating ROI and well, return on your investments, and for return on investments for others, and joyfully organize your daily business. And I look forward to seeing you guys in that another time. Keep the sparks flowing.